first story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to raise my brother-in-law's kids? I, 28 female, have been married for 4 years. My husband, 29, has a brother who is 2 years older than him. Let's call him Ben. Ben has 2 kids, 6-year-old and 9 months old, with a woman called Amy. When Ben was still with Amy, he was an a-hole towards her. He promised to marry her but never did. Instead, he cheated on her multiple times. So, about 2 years ago, Ben was caught cheating again, and this was Amy's last straw and they broke up. I should add, Ben knew Amy was a few weeks pregnant at this point. Amy, who had been living with her mother, decided to move closer to the city to look for work. Soon enough, she found herself a boyfriend and moved in with him. This caused Ben to become enraged. He threw another online tantrum, saying he didn't want his kids being raised by a stranger, and even threatened to stop supporting the kids financially if they continue living with the boyfriend. Amy resorted to sending her kids back to live with her mother. Unfortunately, a few weeks ago, Amy's mom had a stroke and is now incapable of caring for herself, much less the kids. So now, I found out that Ben asked my husband if we can raise his 2 kids for him. He says he doesn't have time to do it because he has to work as a teacher and come home to mark schoolwork. He says since I work remotely, I'm the only one capable of taking care of the kids. I refused, and I'll give my reasons. 1. I already have 2 kids to take care of, who are under the age of 3. 2. I don't want to have to spend any more time with Ben than I already do. He's a misogynist, stupid brat. The fact that he thought it would be okay to speak to my husband only about us raising his kids proves my point. 3. We have very different life views and parenting strategies, and raising his kids would interfere with my autonomy in raising mine. For example, I bought my son a play stove, and Ben made a lot of unnecessary comments about the toy being for girls in front of my son. Thankfully, my husband told him to back off, but this is just one example of why I think he's a bad influence for a child. 4. I think this whole situation is because of Ben's incapability to grow up. I think he could care for the kids himself, but he wants to live the bachelor life and continue drinking with his friends instead of raising his own kids. This is why my husband disagrees. I told him I might have been willing to raise the kids if Ben and Amy were dead, or if they were incapable of caring for the kids because of something they can't control. But I'm not willing to raise them just so the parents can do other things. This made my husband say that I'm punishing the kids because of the parents' mistakes. He says he feels that both Ben and Amy are not good enough parents because Ben drinks too much and Amy introduced the kids to a boyfriend she had only known for a short time. He says if you see kids suffering, you should be willing to step in. Even if the parents are at fault, the kids are innocent. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I'm sorry, why can't their mother take them again? Because he threatened to stop financially supporting them? So, she sent them away. What? She'd rather live with her boyfriend than her kids? She can't find her job in her hometown and she says she can't afford to rent on her own where she works. Not the a-hole. That's a huge life shift for your entire household, including your children. Amy should be looking into a legal custody arrangement so she can get child support and have her kids back. Both parents are the a-holes here and have chosen their preferred lifestyle over the living human beings they created. Not the a-hole. Tell your husband he's delusional if he thinks you will step into this fire pit of being a free nanny and babysitter for his brother. You'd have 4 children under the age of 6 under your 24/7 care, with their father's looming presence judging you from the background. The only way I think this would be in any way possible would be if Ben and Amy signed away their parental rights and you'd have no contact with them. Because otherwise, Ben would be lording over you about the kids nonstop. You know, like he'd be calling the shots while you do all the work. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for losing it when my husband called CPS on my sister? My female 33, sister, female 28, is a single mother with 2 kids aged 7 and 4. Ever since her ex left, I did everything I could to help out with the kids, like watching them a few times a week while she works, and coming over to her house to help her to get things done, like fixing stuff and cleaning. My husband voluntarily took part as well, and he'd go over to help with a few things. He said he wanted to and was happy to help. No one made him go or even ask him to do any of the things he did. Lately, he started complaining whenever my sister brings the kids so I could watch them for a few hours. He'd say that it started affecting our lives by not going out and meeting with family and friends and having to watch the kids instead. Thing is, he was free to go hang out with his friends. I was fine and willing to help with the kids since I work from home and seeing how hard she works. He brought it up again and said that my sister clearly can't handle being a single mother and needed to stop counting on us for help. I thought he was being mean by making those comments. I told him he doesn't have to help if he felt uncomfortable, and he stopped talking about it. Last week, he threw a fit when my sister brought the kids so I could watch them for a few hours, and he said that I was being a doormat for my sister and that we weren't obligated to do the hard work for raising her kids for her. He left the house, then came home in the evening. The next day, I got a call from my sister, and she was crying, saying someone called CPS on her and had an agent come over to her house for a surprise visit. First, she said it might have been her in-laws, but later my husband told me he anonymously called CPS on her because he thought that this would be a wake-up call for her to stop counting on us for help and step up as a mother. I was absolutely livid. I lost it and yelled at him. He argued that my sister shouldn't be freaking out as long as she had nothing to worry about. But this was huge. The amount of stress she and the kids must have felt, I can't imagine. I have a bad history with CPS when I was young. He did something awful just because he thought she wasn't good enough and needed some type of warning to get her life together. I yelled at him because no matter how he thought it wasn't a big deal, calling CPS is huge and just wrong. I was so angry with him I couldn't even talk to my sister after what he did. I talked to her and she was feeling upset and frustrated and shaken up. She doesn't know my husband was the one who made a call, and I feel horrible thinking about it. I'm so mad at him despite him apologizing for what he did. Just to clarify, I watch the kids 3 times a week, till noon and sometimes from noon till the evening. No more than 6 hours. I'd visit my husband's family during the weekend. That's when I'd usually go out. It's not like I'm neglecting him or anything, so I don't know why he behaves like this. I had no idea. It never occurred to me that he'd do something like this. There's no excuse for this. It's just so awful and unacceptable. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. CPS is not there to waste resources that could have been used on families that actually need the help because he is immature. Your husband needs to get his head out from his behind. Can OP report her husband to CPS for making false/malicious reports? Yes, as he obviously needs some kind of warning to not be a douche. Maybe a visit from the police for filing a false charge would make him step up and be a responsible man by minding his own business. Not the a-hole. It is actually insane that he called CPS because your sister gets you to babysit sometimes. What a horrible experience for your sister, and what a waste of CPS limited resources. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for saying I miss it being just me and my dad? My mom died when I, 16 female, was 6. My dad remarried when I was 11. He fell in love hard and fast with his wife and they got married 6 months later. She had 3 kids ages 6, 7, and 9 at the time. It was a lot for me. Everything is so much more. Things are louder and busier and there are so many more people, and I was never excited like they were. But I never wanted to say anything, so I kept my mouth shut and let things happen for my dad, who was so happy. On the inside, I was hurt though. I was hurt that my dad seemed to be so eager to leave everything behind when he got remarried. We no longer did pizza after school on Friday. We no longer watched something together on Sundays before bed. Everything had to include everyone, and when I would ask to do something just with my dad, he would say no and looked confused. One time, my dad asked why I was so eager to do stuff with him, but never cared about family time, and I said because I missed him. He said I never lost him. Then, back in October last year, they put us all into family therapy, because for one of my classes, we had to design something in computer class. I was given a family tree, did the family tree of my dad, mom, and me, and then grandparents, etc. My teacher showed my dad at the PD conference because of how good it was, and he and his wife freaked out about the steps not being included, and so family therapy happened. First therapist was a dud. Second one didn't make anyone feel comfortable, and then when we were supposed to start with a current therapist, COVID hit, and we couldn't do them from home, so we started in July or August. Can't remember when exactly now. Then she was good, and so I opened up. But I don't think they handled it well. 4 sessions in, I was asked why I was distant. I admitted I found it hard. I felt like everyone else was so happy, and I didn't want to rock the boat. But it was too much for me, and I missed when it was just me and my dad, because that's when it was most comfortable for me. She asked what I missed about it. I said it was the time I got with my dad, the fact it always felt like home, and it has felt less like home since more people joined the family, and I have felt bad about it. But it was a lot going from 3 to 2 for so many years, and then we went up to 6 overnight, and it was all so fast. They were so eager and started calling me their sister and daughter right away, but I didn't feel that way, and then my dad stopped doing our stuff together, and I felt like I lost him. My dad said he was hurt I wasn't happier for him, and that I didn't give it more of a chance before rejecting them. My stepmom was hurt that after 5 years I hadn't warmed up to her and her kids enough to feel like they were part of my home. The therapist said how I felt was valid, and asked why they felt like what I said was bad. And we have been going around in circles since. Am I the a-hole? I feel like I should have stayed quiet because now they're just mad at me. Now for the top comments. Oh honey, you know you are not the a-hole, but big hugs here. Exactly. I personally think it's really important that AITA is a safe space for children and young adults to come and ask things that might be obvious when you are older. It is very clear that there are a lot of minors here who don't have a very good home life, and if we can give them just a shred of validation, then that is good. I am very proud of Opie for being so good at voicing her feelings without projecting it all into dislike or hate towards her dad or steps. It is not okay for a father to disregard her child like this. Even if he is a good father to all his children, then he has to recognize that different children have different needs. Her step-siblings were already 3, so 4 doesn't seem so much different, but Opie never had siblings before. Siblings can be hard work, exactly because of this. It takes a whole bunch of compromise that you learn gradually. It isn't just something you transition effortlessly into. I just wanted to add that if your dad and stepmother are behaving differently towards you after your therapy sessions, this should be brought to the therapist's attention immediately. I'm a shrink. Fallout from joint sessions can and does happen. This seriously destroys safety and undermines the treatment. It's fine for them to be angry. It's not okay for them to act on it. Doing so is a form of punishment applied to suppress your healthy expressions of your feelings. And I know this sounds backwards and strange, but sometimes, and I say sometimes, parents who start crying in response to their kid being honest about their experiences also are acting on anger. And 10 times out of 10 kids stop talking. The tears are a way of shutting their kids up. I think it would be helpful if you also ask the family therapist about a referral for you to individual therapy. Might help to save your own space to get support. Not the a-hole. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for leaving the call when my brother announced that his girlfriend is pregnant? My brother and I do not get on. When we were younger, he'd go out of his way to make my life a living hell. To my parents' credit, they did tell him off for it when they caught him, but they both worked long hours and didn't have energy to deal with our arguments. This continued into adulthood. He was salty that he failed his college course the first time around. There was a bad argument in our family a while ago, and I kid you not, it all started because I refused to decorate my brother's living room. I won't go into too much detail, but he wanted a pretty hefty discount. I said no, and he threw a tantrum. You really need to meet my brother to understand just how bad he is. But hopefully this post will do it some justice. Instead of being a grown-up and talking to me, he decided to hook up with my toxic ex-girlfriend and the mother of my child. Due to the rules here, I can't go into a lot of detail about what she was like, but she was not a nice person. She never really bonded with our son when he was born, and I was left to do everything by myself. She eventually walked out on us and refused to have any contact with our son. She'll post on Facebook now and then about her beautiful baby boy to get sympathy votes, but that's about it. I have been a single dad for almost 3 years now, and I absolutely adore my son. But it hurts to think that one day he might question why his mom didn't want anything to do with him. How am I supposed to explain that to him? Anyway, it bothered me when my brother told me they'd hooked up together. It hurt even more when he started dating her. It had taken me so long to get over what she did to me and my child, and now my own brother was bringing her back into my life? Yesterday, we had a family video call. Parents are high risk, and we're not taking any chances. When my brother decided to announce that he and my ex were expecting, I just froze. I didn't know what to do or think. I could feel myself starting to cry a little bit, and it got a bit harder to breathe. Eventually, I decided to just congratulate them, and then made up some lie about needing to put my son down for a nap and left. I received a bunch of messages from my brother and his girlfriend telling me that I stole their thunder. After I left, my parents and some other family members started worrying if I was okay and not really focusing on their news. My uncle told me that I should have just been a man and stuck it out instead of making excuses to get out of it. After all, it was expected that our kids would be raised around each other. I feel like maybe I shouldn't have left a call, but at the same time, it would have been worse if I'd stayed and had a full-blown panic attack in front of everyone. Some of the family members are split and have argued that I won't be able to avoid my brother and his family forever, but others believe I was in the right to leave the situation. I don't know what to think. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I think you handled the situation as well as you can. Also, really? Your ex is going to go and date your brother and have a child with him, yet not take responsibility for the child with you? That's really messed up. Thank you. And yes, she's not a very nice person. I honestly doubt she ever really thinks about our little boy. She's missing out though. He's an amazing boy. Not the a-hole. Your kid is going to grow up with half-siblings but think they're cousins. His aunt will actually be his mom who wants nothing to do with him. And they're trying to make you think you're the a-hole here? Nope. No way. No how. Nil. None. No. You are totally in the right here, and you need to protect your kid from that toxic mess of your family. Honestly, the way you worded it made me realize even more just how messed up the situation is. My son is going to think his mom is his aunt. This is a mess. Thank you though. I feel harsh saying it, but it might be healthier for your son to not have any contact with his egg donor, uncle, or half-sibling/cousin. Once he's old enough to understand how messed up the situation is, which will happen, he's going to have a lot of emotions about it. If he has an entire childhood of spending time with his cousin and aunt, only to learn that she was the mother who abandoned him, but she somehow loves her other child enough to be a mom to them, that's going to mess him up for years. It's going to hurt no matter what, but you have the chance to shield him from an entire childhood of very painful lies. You're definitely not the a-hole. And anyone who thinks you should be okay with this kind of betrayal against your son is a person you don't need to waste any consideration on. Also, reiterating what many have said before, your son is entitled to child support. It's your job to make sure he gets it. Edit. I just wanted to say thank you first of all for all the support. I fell asleep last night and woke up to so many kind and supportive comments. A lot of people have been asking how my parents feel about this. They aren't happy, but they don't have the energy to deal with all the hassle my brother would cause. They actually cut him off for a while when he started dating my ex, but he phoned them constantly and again can't go into much detail, but he said he'd do something not so good. They keep him at arm's length, but I have told them not to cut contact because of me. If they want to cut contact on their own accord, then that's fine, but I do not want to be the reason that they have to deal with his tantrums. The rest of the family, for the most part, weren't happy about it, but accepted it, or pretended to, when they started getting a bit more serious. My uncle, who told me to be a man, thought it was funny. That's just the kind of person he is. I think as hard as it might be, I am going to cut off contact with my brother and ex. As a lot of people pointed out, not for my sake, but for the sake of my son. I don't want to put him through all that. Sorry I can't reply to all your comments, but I've been trying to read them all. Thanks again, Reddit. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. Am I the a-hole for refusing to forgive my friends for keeping my boyfriend's cheating a secret? I, 25 female, just got out of a 4-year relationship after finding out my boyfriend had been cheating on me for months. The worst part? Almost all of my closest friends knew, and no one told me. We've all been part of the same friend group since college, hanging out every weekend, taking trips together and supporting each other through everything. Or so I thought. A few weeks ago, I got a message from a girl I didn't know. She told me she had been seeing my boyfriend and just found out he was in a relationship. At first, I thought she was lying or mistaken, but she sent screenshots, texts, photos, even a video of them together. I felt like my whole world shattered. When I confronted my boyfriend, he admitted everything. He had been cheating for nearly a year, and my friends knew. They saw him flirting at parties, caught him sneaking off with her, and even overheard conversations about it. When I asked them why they didn't tell me, they gave me excuses. It wasn't our place. We didn't want to be involved. We thought you might already know. I was devastated. These were the people I trusted the most, and they let me be blindsided. I cut off my ex immediately, but my friends? That's been harder. Some have apologized, saying they feel awful, while others are acting like I'm overreacting. They keep inviting me to things, expecting everything to go back to normal, but I can't look at them the same way. Now they're saying I'm being unfair by holding this against them, that I shouldn't throw away years of friendship over this. But they knew, they saw, and they chose to stay silent while I was being lied to. Now they expect me to just move on like nothing happened? How can I ever trust them again? Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Are you sure they're your friends? Because they wouldn't be mine. Right, OP, that's not what friends do. They picked sides when they found out he was cheating and it wasn't yours. You'll find a real group of friends, because whoever they aren't it. They all knew, every last one of them. 365 days, maybe a little less. They kept his secret, hurting you in the process. Of course not the a-hole. They didn't want to get involved. They got involved when they hid his secret from you for a year. I can't even imagine the betrayal you feel. You pretty much lost the boyfriend and the people you considered your closest friends in one swoop. People I'm assuming you would have otherwise turned to for support during this time. Not the a-hole. Ironic, isn't it? How a complete stranger turned out to be friendlier than your own friends. It takes courage to tell the truth after you find out you're the mistress without knowing it. If I were you, I would have thanked that girl. On the other hand, I wouldn't forgive those who call themselves your friends either. A real friend doesn't hide something that important. This part, revealing you're the mistress, is dangerous. You never know how someone will react. They might try to fight you. They might even try to off you if they're crazy. But she picked doing the right thing nonetheless. You can't. I'm 35 and have only had one really close friend. She was with me for everything for the last 14 years. I mean everything. The births of our children, the loss of 2 of my children, passed during delivery, the loss of my dad, her parents abandoning her, literally everything. Fast forward to December 2023, I left my very abusive ex and father of my 3 children, 1 living. He has always been a horrible father. By July 2024, he decided to start rumors about me. And instead of asking me about things unrelated to our friendship, she just hopped on his bandwagon. When I tell you I had no one to talk to about everything, it brought me to my knees. I didn't think I'd be able to make it without her. But seriously, I am so proud of myself for standing my ground. Any friend of mine, especially one as close as her, knows me better than to believe stupid rumors. And if not, they are no real friend of mine. Was it hard? Yes. But with all that being said, I met the man of my dreams, my best friend. When the person I needed the most gave me every reason, or rather excuse, not to show up, a perfect stranger showed up for me 1,000 times for no reason at all. So it's up to you whether or not you're willing to keep these friends in your life when they don't have your best interests in mind. Yeah, nope. My former in-laws introduced my then spouse to his affair partner, and my family helped my then estranged spouse kidnap our children to get them out of state, destroy my property, and leave me homeless. All of them follow each other, but I didn't use social media so everybody knew, and none of them warned me. I will never forgive my family, and I agree, you should not forgive your so-called friends. Next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my friend to give back a gift I gave her after she openly expressed that she would be getting rid of it? I, 27 female, have been friends with this girl, we'll call her Mary, 28 female, since high school. Recently, I was back in our hometown, and she invited me to her birthday brunch to celebrate her 28th birthday. One day on my way home, I happened to stumble across an estate sale where I found a set of really nice crystal champagne glasses that were in excellent condition and cheaper than they're worth. Mary lives a high-quality fancy lifestyle, so I thought they would be perfect for her, especially because they were within my budget. At the time, I had been recovering from student loans and had just put down a deposit on my first apartment in the city. Fast forward to the brunch. We had a great time, and I got to catch up with Mary and other friends from high school. Mary was eager to open the presents, and when she got to mine, she seemed to like them, asking where I got them since there was no label. I explained that I didn't know the brand, but the person running the estate sale had assured me that they were authentic and had been a wedding gift to the previous owners. At the mention of the estate sale, Mary became visibly disgusted. Although she didn't say anything to my face, she was very passive-aggressive towards me for the rest of the afternoon. I overheard her whispering to some of the other guests about how I had the audacity to give her a used item and that she would be discarding them later. After the event was over, I approached her privately, not wanting to make a scene, and asked that if she wasn't going to use the glasses, could she give them back since I would put them to good use and knew their quality. She flipped out, telling me it was extremely rude to ask for them back, and that it was none of my business what she did with them. My family is understanding and thinks I did nothing wrong, but some mutual friends who were at the event think otherwise. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. If I gift someone something nice and they're openly talking about it wasn't good enough and they're gonna trash it, yeah, I'll ask for it back. And either way, end that friendship. Maybe if people cared about the gift-giving rule, they wouldn't openly trash the gift. Just what I was going to say. That's the last gift she ever gets from me if she's still in my social circle. I really don't know where the idea came from that once a gift is given, the recipient has complete freedom to do whatever they want with it. In the real world, we have to consider the feelings of others, including those who give us gifts. For example, it would be extremely rude to immediately throw a gift in the trash upon opening it while the giver looks on. If someone did that with one of my gifts, I'd be hurt, and I'd rather take it back than watch that happen. This is pretty close to what Mary was about to do with the glasses, so I think OP is not the a-hole. This, especially considering that even though the birthday girl was talking smack about the gift and throwing it away where OP could clearly hear, OP was still kind enough to wait until she could speak to her in private to ask for the gift back. Next story. Am I the a-hole for walking out of yoga class after the instructor hit on my daughter and kissed her? My mom has been begging me to join her yoga class, so I agreed and brought my 19-year-old daughter along. From the moment we walked in, the instructor, let's call him Chad, mid-40s, thinks he's some sort of spiritual guru, zeroed in on my daughter. He kept complimenting her energy and asking her deep, awkward questions about her soul connection. My deaf grandmother, 85 female, saw what was happening and signed to me that she thought he was cute. Class starts, and my grandma, who has no idea what's going on, starts doing her own random stretches in the back. Meanwhile, Chad keeps adjusting my daughter way more than necessary, his hands lingering far too long on her waist, whispering things like, "Relax, feel the flow." She looked super uncomfortable, but he didn't seem to notice. Then after the class ends, as everyone is packing up, Chad grabs my daughter by the shoulders and leans in for what I can only describe as a full-on kiss on the cheek. My daughter was frozen, absolutely stunned, and I lost it. I rushed over, grabbed her, and told Chad he needed to back off. He just stood there smirking, acting like he'd done nothing wrong. I stormed out with my daughter and told my mom that we were never coming back to that studio. Now my mom is furious at me, saying I'm being too dramatic, and my grandma keeps signing, "He had good energy. You should have let it go." Am I the a-hole for pulling my daughter out? Because I feel like this went way beyond just a yoga class. Now for the top comments. Oh, hell no. You go make a complaint. If there is no one to complain to, make a Google review and say exactly what you say here. A 40-year-old getting handsy with a teenager. Don't let it go. I will. Grandma is from that any male attention is good male attention generation. Ignore her BS. Not the a-hole. That description has the hair on the back of my neck standing on end. Minimally, report him to the studio or gym or whatever he was at. Maximally, well, I'd be lucky to walk out of that situation with just a misdemeanor. Just saying. Here's hoping the perp gets his. I totally agree. It gave me chills too. I'm definitely reporting it to the studio. And if they don't take it seriously, I'll go further. Posting this made me realize how serious this actually is. Don't stop at reporting it to the center, regardless of how seriously they take it. Blast this creep on social media, Google reviews, etc. Next story. Am I the a-hole for dumping my girlfriend because of her kid? So I, 29 male, started seeing this girl, Julia, 25 female, about a month ago. Things were going really well. We had great chemistry and I was enjoying getting to know her. I had no real complaints. She seemed fun, cool, and like someone I could seriously date. A few days ago, I had just finished a long day at work and told her I'd pick her up and take her to this nice restaurant I'd been wanting to try. I was excited because I thought it would be a fun night. Then she replied, "I can't tonight. My parents have plans and I need to take care of my kid." At first, I was taken aback. I honestly thought I misheard her. Like, did she just say kid? I thought maybe she was talking about a younger sibling or something. But when I asked, she casually confirmed that she has a 7-month-old baby. Now, I'm not someone who judges single mothers or anything like that, but this was the first time I was hearing about it. We had been seeing each other for a few weeks, and I had no idea she had a baby. She had never mentioned it before. The way she said it so casually made it feel like I was the one who was supposed to just accept it, like it was no big deal. The truth is, I wouldn't have continued this relationship if I had known about her kid from the start. I was stunned. She told me her parents were handling the baby most of the time, but still, it was a lot to take in. I just told her okay and ended the call. I didn't reach out to her the next day, and she didn't contact me either. Probably busy with her kid. 2 days later, she messaged me, but I didn't reply because I didn't know how to handle it. That night, she called and asked if we should still go to the restaurant the next day. That's when I realized I didn't want to continue seeing her. I told her I didn't know she had a child and that I didn't want to be a step-parent, so it was best to end things. She calmly said, "Okay, I understand," and we ended the call. The next morning, I woke up to banging on my door. She was sobbing, telling me she loved me and begging me to meet her kid. She said I'd fall in love with the baby and wouldn't leave. I told her if I had known about the kid, I wouldn't have started dating her. She cried harder, and I told her I had to go to work, which was true. At work, I got an anonymous call with slurs. I'm not sure if it was her or someone else, but I'm suspicious. When I got home, neighbors told me she had been crying loudly at my door and even banged on some of their doors, introducing herself as my girlfriend. They didn't take any action because they assumed we had a normal fight. Most were supportive, but one single mother, Georgia, gave me a dirty look and said I shouldn't have given her hope if I was just going to leave. Honestly, I'm still processing the whole situation. I never intended to be a step-parent, and I feel like she should have told me sooner. I'm starting to feel like I'm being blamed for something that wasn't my fault. Am I the a-hole for ending the relationship and not being ready to take on the responsibility of dating a single mom? Bullet dodged. She is absolutely unhinged. Firstly, failing to mention she has a child in over a month of dating? Huge red flag. Like a red flag you could see from Neptune at night if it were being waved in a cave. Secondly, after a month of dating, she shows up at your house yelling, crying, and begging like a lunatic? Yeah, another huge red flag. Thirdly, thinking, only after a month of dating, that it's appropriate for you to step into the shoes of fatherhood? Madness. Demented, crack-fueled, howling, deranged madness. If you gathered all the red flags, put them on a hill, flooded them with light, and broadcast it live on YouTube or Facebook? Yeah, this would be that. Not the a-hole. She even mentioned that her parents have the baby most of the time, which means she's either unstable or a deadbeat. She's probably desperately trying to find a father for her kid. That was a huge red flag. Then she buried it under the rest of her unhinged behavior. How the heck did all your neighbors get involved in this nonsense? Why would you or anyone think you're an a-hole? You barely know this woman. Who cares why you choose not to see her again? You're allowed to make your own choices. Julia is unhinged. Get a restraining order and tell your neighbors to stop talking to her. I've been living in this neighborhood since childhood, and most people here know me well. She had come to my home a few times and knew I had goodwill with the neighbors and that they have connections with my family too. I don't know if that's why she reached out to them. Look, you are 100% in your right not to want to date a single parent. However, I think Julia probably has postpartum depression, and it's most likely the father is a deadbeat or has taken off. None of this is your fault, but she has probably seen you as a lifeline, an escape for a little while. She isn't crazy. She likely is very, very unwell, so maybe you could spare her a little bit of compassion? So, like dating her out of compassion, or just comforting her somehow? Because her banging on my door is not allowing me to be near her anymore. Last story. Am I the a-hole for asking my roommate's wife to wear bottoms around the house? My significant other and I have been putting up our brother-in-law while he's trying to move back. He's employed and is paying token room and board, while he and his wife attempt to sell their house. It's been 6 months so far. My brother-in-law's spouse, Tina, is in her late 30s, a larger woman with some health issues. She has visited before and ruined decorative pillows due to having accidents on them, as she likes to sit on our black decorative cushions. She's now been spending half of every month, when she shouldn't be, in my home as a guest. She doesn't wear underwear under her nightgown and will stay in it for the majority of the day. I've had it. I watched her ruin another decorative pillow by sitting on it and leaving vaginal discharge and urine on it. I gave her a day to clean it, and she pretended it didn't happen. I ended up throwing out the pillow in disgust and bleaching the seating mat underneath it. She then wore the same pee-stained nightgown the next day, and I watched as she lifted it up to sit down bare butt on my furniture. So, we've spoken to her husband in hopes that he can tell her nicely to wear underpants. I'm also considering getting her a box of incontinence pads and leaving it in the bathroom she uses. Am I the a-hole in this? It's disgusting, right? Her lack of underwear isn't the problem. She wouldn't be setting foot in my home ever again if she behaved like that, let alone stayed 2 weeks each month. That's beyond disgusting and inappropriate. Not the a-hole. You need to set boundaries with your brother-in-law, and she needs to stay out of your house. Her lack of underwear is part of the problem. No guest of mine would sit in my furniture without underwear and get to stay. I'm on the autism spectrum, so don't always get the finer points of being a good guest. But I sure as heck am aware that doing that would be nasty. I've never had a naked tush or bush in a home that isn't mine. And does she actually do this in her home too? Because if so, I wouldn't be visiting her anytime soon either. Because ew. Not the a-hole, but it's time you tell your brother-in-law that if he can't control the situation, they have to leave. It doesn't matter if he's paying a small amount for room and board. You feel like a guest in your own home, and she is disgusting. She needs to be fully clothed, wearing underwear at the bare minimum. If they can't respect that this is your home, then they can leave and find accommodation elsewhere. Let your husband know that if brother-in-law does not have a discussion with his wife and fix the issue, you will. And that conversation likely won't end well. This exactly. Health issues or not, if she can't behave appropriately, she needs to not spend any time in your house. You would think someone with health issues would want to wear incontinence pads and have better hygiene.